Today we're going to be working on a 2017 Ford F150. This has got the 3.7 with the twin turbo, the little V6, and we're going to be changing some of the transmission lines, and let me show you why. All right, right up in the front, just behind the grill, there is a heat exchanger, and as you can see, the one line has got oil on it. It's got little pinholes, the other one's all rusted out, so that's what we're changing. All right, since it's hard to work on it up underneath the truck and a little bit dark, I went ahead and just spun it out. I cut my line off with a tubing cutter, and I'll show you. Here's the other line. Hopefully you can see there's quite a bit, flake and rust off. So these had lots of pinholes in them. But here's the little the little plastic clip. You just pop that off. Once that is out of the way, you'd use a tool similar to this. It's one of the tools that pushes down in. This particular one is just a little too fat. It's the old GM gas line ones. But I didn't have the other tool, so I'll show you what I did. I took a good old brake parts cleaner can and cut it down. And I made myself a couple of little tabs. And those little tabs just push in. Just like that. Let me get my gloves on. And there you go. So basically they just, let's see. You can kind of see how they would go in and just touch that shoulder and pop it out. So you can make something like that, but definitely wear gloves. They do come out. You just got to do a little wiggling on them. And then the tube just goes right back in. All right, here are the brand new lines. I had to buy them directly from the Ford dealer. Nobody currently is making these aftermarket. So they were a little spendy. I think one was like 150, the other was close to like 170 or 180. Can't remember right off the bat. But to get in there, to release them, so they've got just the flex hose on the one end with a new clamp. Both ends have that, but that's gonna be right up here in the grill. So we're gonna go through and pop all the little clips, start popping this grill off. So I'm just gonna put you guys up on the tripod and you can watch. All right, everything pretty much came off, no problems. I may end up taking these off the rest of the way just to make it easier to put this back on, because some of those are pretty far down in there, and so it might kind of be a pinch. So we'll see, maybe I'll pop those off. Sometimes the little clips right there will stay in. These all came out. Looks like all of them. Oh, nope. That one stayed in, so I'll have to actually pop that out and put it back on here. So that's just one thing to look for. But now we jump into here. So pretty simple, just undo these two lines, snake them back through, and then we'll put the new ones in. So we'll take them out one at a time. So again, I'll throw you on the tripod and you can watch. Since everything's plastic up here and a little bit fragile, I did go ahead and just made a little cut in these old hoses. Since I already cut them off on the other end, we know they're 100% junk, and that way I could just pull them off a whole lot easier. Ooh, got a little oil in that one still. I took the oil cooler out just to give myself a little more room. All right, I'm gonna say our new line is in where it needs to be. I'm gonna try to climb under and show you guys. It just needs to be pulled down just a little bit. There we go. So that's gonna plug into that one, no problem, once we put that port back in. Because this line is quite a bit longer, it took a little bit more to get it out of there. I ended up releasing a few things just to make it easier. So I got the line in, and you can see right here is the little bracket, but the bracket wasn't lining up very good. So I pulled the other line back out, and sure enough, Ford doesn't know which way their brackets go on, so they put it on the wrong way. So I probably have to snake that back out a little ways so I can pop that bracket free. That's gonna be difficult because, as you can see, they rolled it down pretty hard. So I gotta pop that out, take it off, spin it around the other way, and put it all back on. Really wish I'd have noticed that early on, but. All right, flipped the bracket around. I still do need to tighten up. Maybe you can see the little tab. I got to just pinch it closed and then pinch it down. So I'll probably put a vice grip on that to do that. I got the lower bracket done and went ahead and put everything back in on the front end. So everything's all done there. You may have noticed I did take this loose, and there is a plug right back here on the air intake. I did unplug that so that I could snake that hose down through that area, or that tube slash hose. So now just plug it in underneath, and then it's time to put some fluid in this. Okay, the last thing is just to plug these in. So get them kind of lined up. There, that one's in. And I think that one's in. Now I'll put the clips on. There's that one. I'm trying to put them so if gunk gets in them, it just falls out the bottom. You could just clip them on like this, but then stuff would stay in them. So I am gonna go like this. All right, with all the lines on, everything's buttoned back up. Just need to get underneath there and put back in the oil because it leaked all the oil out, or at least a good portion of it. So if there was just a way that I could put this up in the air to work on it easier, boy, that would be really nice. But I don't. So I think I'll jack it up. So the dealer said this is the oil for this truck. So we got it straight from the dealer, and this is how I'm putting it in. So this is just a little thing I rigged up. I think I used it in one of my other videos to prime the oil system on an engine. So basically, right now you can see, I think that's about 20 PSI on it. I have 3 quarts of this oil in. You can just see simple valve there, and then it goes down to just a little angle. So I'm just gonna go ahead, jump in the underneath, pop open the dipstick cap, pull out the dipstick, I'll insert my little end, and then I'll pump those 3 in just using air pressure. And when the air pressure gets a little low, I can just take my little cordless, give it a shot of air. So I'm gonna jump underneath there and do that. Okay, we're just basically at the back of the bell housing, and right here you can see the plug. There, it's kind of dropped down in now. 19 mil, I think, is what I used. You take off the little cap, and then you see this little white shaft sticking out. That is the dipstick. So I've already put some in. There we see, we got a little bit on our dipstick now, but I'm gonna go ahead and finish putting that 3 quarts in, and we'll see where that lands. And it says see the manual for how to read the dipstick. The manual is completely worthless on this truck. It said page 328. 328 only had the transfer case, and the information for the oil basically just said have the dealer do it and do it at regular intervals. There's my little fitting going right into that. My hose just kind of wraps around here, and then you can see my little gauge right there. As soon as this is empty, it will start to spit it and sputter. So now we know our tank is pretty much empty. All right, put all 8 quarts in, and dipstick is showing that it's nice and full. Shifts through all the gears. Ran it down the road, everything seems good. So we're gonna call this one done. I did get underneath and check. No drips from any of those little cooler lines. So I think this job is done.